Hi, everybody. Welcome to another session of Culinary Healing with myself, Jill Van As, author of Epicurean Journal Family's Love. So, if you've been following my Instagram and my social media, you'll be seeing I've been doing a whole series on miscarriages and how taboo miscarriages are and how people don't really speak about something that affects so many women today, and our infertility journeys. I had that discussion about 2 weeks ago. We had discussed my journey and how I felt, and then last week we discussed with my husband how he felt. And this week I've got my mommy with me. So for everybody, this is Benita Roberts, my mommy.
Hi, Jill. Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure, mommy, because I wouldn't be here without my mom and my dad. And I'm actually, we're speaking about fertility and the journey of fertility and miscarriages, which mommy agrees is a topic that we don't really speak about, eh?
Yes, no, it's like when people get married, the first thing after a few months, everybody was, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to have, it's pressure on young ones. And it is something that is personal, that shouldn't be asked. And I think we have to be sensitive about when we ask, because we do not, once the house door closes, we don't know what's going on behind the door and how the people is struggling or the couple is struggling. So I would put out there, ladies and gents, try not to put pressure on couples that got married within a year or 2 years, asking when you're going to have a baby. I think it's a stupid question to ask.
Yeah, ultimately, yes, it is. It's very insensitive, I agree, mommy. I mean, I was doing the fertility for 5 years. And I think it's even more stressful when you have a sibling. But before we go into total of speaking about miscarriages and how it affects. So we obviously read the simple roast chicken, which you can go back and hear the story at last week or the week before. But I need to explain to you a little bit our relationship that I have with my mom, and the relationship my mom and I have with food. So it's in the Epicurean Journal, available on Amazon and Take a Lot, guys. Or you can DM me, and then I'm going to do the chili prawns. It's the garlic and chili prawns. So it goes a little bit like this. So if you've been following my Instagrams and my socials, you would know that every little recipe has a story. So I combined my life with food. Yeah, basically. So this one goes like this. Garlic and chili prawns. This is a dish that takes me back to the kitchen with my mom. We love seafood. I think all of us.
Yes.
Even Clay, even the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. We all
Especially your prawn curry.
Yes, that's a hit, guys. It's not in this book, though. But yeah, it says it's our thing. It's really our family's thing. So my mom would make prawns and seafood often, especially for special events like confirmations or 21st birthdays or just any celebration. So let me elaborate on that. So yes, I've got an events and catering business, but my mom had her catering business for many years as well. Not trained in the industry, guys, not went to go study, but she just made good food, and she started doing families 21st and weddings and all these things. And yeah, she did all our confirmations. I mean, I think my confirmation was in a hall, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a wedding.
It was like a wedding. Even my dress was like a wedding. Dress. So this reminds me of the simpler days of just being a child when I was hanging around in the kitchen helping to steal clothes. And this really takes me back to a child when we grew up in North Valley in that kitchen.
Yes.
Um,
We tried everything.
We tried everything. My mom even made her own mayonnaise, which is in this book. She made biscuits. She was quite the confectionist also, guys. Baked. That's why I say there was always stuff there. However, spending time with my mom was special. The bond between a mom and a daughter is just magical. Today, I'm grateful for the lessons learned in the kitchen with my mom. It has equipped me for this journey called life. There was always so much love in that kitchen, except when it came to doing the dishes. Trust me, I still dislike doing the dishes. So that was magical times, mommy.
Yes, it was very. We grew together as a bond, as a family in the kitchen, because I worked, and on a Saturday I used to go to the market and buy all the vegetables, and then I would put on 3-4 pots, make bread, make cake, everything that I couldn't make in the week for the children and my husband. And there would be sometimes now when they come into my house, they say the house don't smell the same like it used to smell. But yeah, things do change.
Yeah. It was a familiar smile, when you walk into the home, and it's something I experienced with my granny. I think I spoke about, I don't know where I spoke about my granny, but for Mother's Day, the magical moments that we had with her was all centered around food. I think even our extended family was centered around food on both sides, on mommy's side and daddy's side.
Yes.
Because my dad has 6 brothers and all of them can cook. My mommy, them are two girls and 2 boys, and all of them can cook.
Yes.
Can Akawali cook with?
Yes, he can.
Yeah, okay.
He can help himself.
He can help himself. I mean, the youngest brother, Yubi, he makes quite nice stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
So Yubi is the one who, in this book, the cover of the book was shot in his kitchen. So my family is love, guys.
And he was the longest with Mom.
Yeah, he was the longest with Mom.
Also.
Yeah, he only got married very late.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so the whole essence was last week we spoke about. We spoke with my husband, Gary, and I. We were chatting about how it affects your life, having a miscarriage, going through infertility, going through that journey of devastation. I mean, your emotions are all over, your hormones are pumped, you just a total wreck, and that how even when he told me he loves me, I wasn't, sure in my mind that he loves me for me and not having a children, because as my mom said, the societal pressures, and this is something that we spoke about last week also, the societal pressures on women today, that we need to have the kids, we have to have all these things. And I mean, we go through difficult times every month. We still need to perform at work, we still need to work like a man, cook like a woman. We carry so many hats. But with my very last miscarriage, and I think I spoke about it in the first episode, that with one of the miscarriages, my sister-in-law was pregnant with her second one. But with my last one, which we refer to in this book, my sister, my younger sister, was pregnant with her first daughter. So, Mommy, what I want to know is, how did it make you feel having your eldest daughter having a miscarriage and your youngest pregnant with your first grandchild?
At first, when I heard that you're pregnant, Claire's pregnant, it was excitement. And it was overjoyed, and I prayed, and then it happened that you lost the baby. And my life changed, because now I have excitement on the one side, waiting for my first grandchild, and on the other side I've got sadness. So I had emotions that I cannot explain. It's not explainable, because I don't think there's any mother that went through what I went through, to have 2 children pregnant at the same time and one loses. Because when I visited Claire, there was joy. I could feel the baby. When I come to Jill, I don't know if I must cry or if I must laugh, or because and I didn't want to speak about Claire because I was scared of hurting her. And me and my husband spoke about it, and at one stage I didn't know what to do. Jill was at home and I was in her office, in her place, and one day I was sitting and I just tried to phone somebody, a priest or something, and nobody was available. And then I phoned Mark Dietrich, and I sent him a message and I said, just please pray for me. And 6 o'clock that night he phoned me. He asked me what is wrong, and I told him, and he gave me courage to say that it's the Lord's will, and He will not make your burden heavier than what it is, or what you are going through at the moment. He said to me that he can't explain or accept or understand how I feel, but all he can do is pray for me and pray for Jill and pray for Claire, that Claire have full term, the one, and that Jill can have a baby sometime or the other. Walking in the shops, I
remember that one. We were walking in Woolies,
yes,
and you were staring at the baby because, and I said to you, Mommy, go look,
And I didn't know whether I had to buy something, and I seen something, and no, you're gonna hurt Jill. And then at first I didn't buy anything for Kate, and then I said to my husband, we need to get something for the baby when the baby is born. When Claire gave birth, I only went late that afternoon because I was so worried about how is Jill feeling that the baby is born and how she's going to react and how I'm going to react. Because for me to accept things I have or to be strong for my family, I have to work through it myself first before I can be with him.
Yeah, completely and utterly. So I remember that day, I think mommy phoned me to tell me that Claire's in labor. And I spoke about it on my first episode that it was devastating. But Claire was also very understanding. When I phoned her to wish her, she said to me, it's okay, you can come tomorrow when there's less people. And because I knew obviously from their side there was going to be also a huge number of people. But I decided to go that evening. And I still said, when I held Catherine, I never ever knew that you could love somebody that wasn't born out of you so much that the tears came pouring out. And I don't know if it was Claire that said, because I know it was a half an hour still left of visiting hours. If Claire told the people, don't disturb me, but nobody came to fetch Catherine from me at that point. And I got to bond with her. And I still said in the first one, you said I'm away from work to go to Catherine. And Catherine was my saving grace. But it also took, I think it took also a toll maybe on Claire and I's relationship at a stage. It's not that I wasn't happy for her. It was just hard for me. But when Tristan came, I was completely overjoyed because then I came to the acceptance and the realization that I can't have children and that I maybe don't want children anymore. But they are like my everything. So you were saying that you had obviously those mixed emotions and that mixed feelings. And I can remember that evening, that Tuesday evening, when Claire came into the room with a big tummy and I'm lying on the bed having a miscarriage. I think it was harder for me with her than with my sister-in-law, I think.
Yeah, it was that evening. It was very bad for me, but I had to hide my pain and I had to be strong for you and for Barry and show that I'm fine.
You're fine, yeah.
But inwardly, I was aching.
And I think Claire, and I know when we did the committal, so in our church, we believe that when there's life, there's a soul. And even though we have a miscarriage and the child hasn't seen the light of day, that we believe the soul needs to find rest, right? And we did the committal, and I know Claire was alone here, her husband wasn't with. And I think in that moment, she realized the hurt and the pain and the agony. And I think everybody came inside it and we were hugging outside, and she said to me, this is your baby too, which was Catherine. So what would you tell mothers that has maybe gone, who might go through this in the future, or who has a child that's suffering from infertility? Because mommy, remember the day when we found out I was pregnant? We were at work.
Yes.
And the doctor phoned me, and there was this joy and excitement, and we were screaming. And I know Gary still said, close the door to the kitchen, let's pray. And we waited for that moment. I think I waited longer to go for the test than what I normally did. I think I waited the whole 3-month period, I think, before I went for the test. But what would you tell mommies out there who might find themselves in a situation where one can and one can't, or one is and one lost, and how to support their children when going through a journey of infertility?
All you can do as a mother is be there. You can't do anything because you can't produce a baby for them, or make a miracle that the baby stay. That's in God's hands. But all you can do as a mother is to support both and try and work out your own emotions before you go speak to your children and or do something for them. Don't cry in front of them. Cry alone. When you are with them, be as joyful as what you can, and show that it's okay. It's okay. You understand.
I think maybe also to a certain extent I must have daddy also in a conversation like that. Because from a father's point of view, it's also very difficult. But I think I'll have daddy when you do the other part of it. But you, I don't know, I think it was just a hard time. And for me, it also felt like, it's almost like I had a kind of disease that everybody kind of just stayed clear, and didn't know what to say, even with my cousins that were. I remember my grandfather told me that my one cousin was pregnant. She says, "Your cousin want to tell you something." And she came to the phone and she was crying. And I said, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" She said, "No, I just don't know how to say this." And I said, "But what? Say it." I said, "Are you pregnant?" And she said, "Yes." But she also waited about 7 years before she had a baby. And I was overjoyed for them. However, it was the time when I have healed already. But it's also in the time when people realize that you can't have children, they kind of gravitate towards you and you work things through with them and you speak things through. And the moment they fall pregnant, it's like they want to isolate you. So for a woman that has gone through it several times, don't try and isolate the person, make them a part of it, make them a part of it. I can honestly say that my sister never stopped me from, if I want to bath Catherine or buy her anything, or even today, I can reprimand her children. There's no strings. She doesn't get angry because she knows that it comes from a point of love. And they always say that nobody's going to love your kids as much as your own sister, And I think for me, it's even greater because I don't have my own children. So, don't try and isolate the person that can't have kids. No. Try and make them a part of your baby showers, you're this and you're that. Because by isolation, it feels that
you push them away.
Yeah. That we're not good enough.
No, yeah. And but the biggest thing is that when you do tell a person that lost the baby that you are pregnant, do it with real, not bragging or
with some humility.
Yes, and say, "Look, I'm pregnant. How do you feel about it?" Or anything like that. Just don't push it down onto the person and have a big attitude about it. And I'm pregnant, you can't be.
Don't be nasty. You just need to be kind.
Yes.
In this, like I always say, in this cruel world, there's nothing wrong to be kind. And I mean, I've got a friend as well, Merlin. She used to get married quite late, and then she had a child. And I think it was in between the miscarriages, or in between the few miscarriages. And I think a son was about a month or two old already. And they just said to me, "Jill, when are you going to come see my baby?" And I said, "When I'm ready." And without any questions, without any pressure, she said, "It's fine when you're ready," And there also, it was never a forced thing, always considering the next person's emotion, not treating them with kid gloves or tippy-toe around them, walk on eggshells. It's just to be kind in your response. My granny always used to say, and we're going to go on a talk about family's love in the next few sessions and stuff like that, but my granny always used to say, "Jill, the Lord may not have blessed you with children, but He blessed you with so many other things." And once again, I realized that last year when I went to a visit to my gynae, and we spoke about the journey, because obviously I haven't been there until COVID was, pre-COVID, I was there last. And then we spoke about the journey, and he actually bought the book, guys. And he said, "But we could not," and I could understand when he said we could not, because I couldn't do it without him and the team at Vainard Fertility Clinic. "But you have you got another purpose," he said to me. He said, "Jill, maybe you've got another purpose to help all these women that come in here that cannot have children and that cannot that went through this journey, but also didn't come out successful. And it takes a mental toll on you. It really does. At times you feel like you're going crazy. And I think with my last miscarriage, I literally thought I was going to lose my mind. And at that point, I said, no more doctors, no more needles. It's done. It's over for me.
Yeah.
So
I think Sly was the babiest of all,
yes,
all the miscarriages, because Claire was pregnant. And I think that hit all of us, the whole family as such. And it was not easy. I had to learn how to cope with both. As I think I looked after Kate and Tristan when they were small, because Claire had to go back to work, and they were 2 months when they came to me. And there was many a days that I sat with Kate and I thought I would have had Slade with me as well. So yeah.
Slade would have been there. There's many times that Gary and I also think that, you'd have been running around the house and things like that. But yeah, that is our session, another session of Culinary Healing, where we speak about how parents feel. And, they say you're only an adult if your parents are no longer with you. So I'm still a child, and I'm so blessed to have my mom. And seeing that we celebrated Mother's Day, I want to just say thank you, Mommy, for always being there, for always being in support. And my mom goes through her own struggles. And I think I'm going to speak about that in the future, if Mommy don't mind. It could have been so different. 2 years ago, she was almost dead, and today she's sitting here with a new kidney. We came from a doctor and everything's fine. We are just so blessed to still have you in our lives, Mommy.
It's only grace.
It's only grace. And I'm sure Kate and Tristan, your grandchildren, is also still lucky to have a granny. I mean, like we were lucky to have our grannies to a quite a high age. And yeah, so that is another session. So yes, miscarriages, please, people, be kind when you speak to somebody. When you ask that question, can we just change that societal norms where we say, oh, when are you going to have a baby? When are you going to do this? Because there's people like me that can't. And when you ask these questions, it becomes hurtful and maybe even to a point of utter disrespect. So be kind. In this cruel world that we live in, and we just be kind towards each other. Any last words for me?
No, I think we said enough, and thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Here we go. Sure.